Here we go. Test, test, test. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. I know. Get your point. There's no reason not to. You're playing great. I play poorly.
Doing a quick check. Hello, everyone, and good morning,
Oh.
good afternoon, good night, good
That's not what I
evening.
expected you to do at all.
Good night, good evening.
Oh, hi.
Sweet, sweet. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again for yet another amazing game. Actually, I should just check with them before I just start straight on it.
What?
You guys are with
I'm pretty sure I'm dead.
Alright, covering one.
Okay, this is going to be awesome. So we've got another matchup between Aaron, Ames, and Mark 180 Worse. We've got Scum and Villainy on the left facing us against Galactic Empire. Turns out that they had a contract for the Scum. You know what they did not deliver, and Darth Vader and friends are going to hunt them down. And literally is Darth Vader and friends. So we've got some standardized cards on the right-hand side. Darth Vader, Marksmanship, Hate, Afterburners, The Boys, not the Amazon show, the amazing wingmates to Darth Vader on the Black Squadron with Backstabber and Mauler Mythal, so the red and yellow ties below him. If you want to see which ones those are the ones who are flanking Darth Vader, because their ability is an extra die if they are within range one of him, out the side arc. So basically, if they do stay in attack formation, it's really good for them. So well done. So super cool. And then the interesting thing is, Vader plus the Boys is like a kind of standard block. So then it's a question of what you fill it with. And so Mark's making an interesting choice. He's got Volt Scarus, who's an I-5 interceptor, so moves, relatively late. Snapshot on him to get an extra attack off. Lieutenant Warrior with Targeting Computer and Daredevil. And Warrior's amazing because Warrior can basically bend his barrel rolls 90 degrees, or he can curve them. You get Targeting Computer, so if you ignore him, he's still a 3-die gun, and he can really hurt. I'm trying to figure out who is where, because we've got one interceptor in the middle and one interceptor at the top. So I'm going to check and see who's that little flanking guy at the top. I'm guessing that's Warrior, because since he's the lower initiative, he can really easily just be like anti-arc dodge, you can just gun down on him. So if I was guessing, let me see if Dan's right. I'm going to go check and see where Warrior is. So I am totally wrong. So we've got Warrior in the middle, which I guess kind of makes sense. He's like, you know what? I can also at lower initiative. I can jam folks. No one expects the Warrior. And at the very top, we've got Volt Scarus, which kind of makes sense. He's the I-5. We've got Lima and Arliz on the left-hand side of Aaron, and Volt could, in theory, move after both of those. So, could do great. But yeah, we've got some really great Imperial pieces on Mark's side. That middle interceptor, keep an eye on it, because it's going to move like nothing else. It's going to be really interesting to figure out how Aaron's going to deal with this. The scenario we're looking at is push the button or scramble the transmissions, so those ships are going to be using their actions to press buttons and claim those. Interesting thing about Mark's choice of interceptors, because with auto thrusters ability on interceptors, they can take that boost barrel roll after they perform an action, which can be a scenario action. So unlike in salvage, when they grab a box, they can't reposition once they've got a box, but interceptors can still push a button and then boost barrel roll, which is really cool. So we still get action efficiency when doing scenario actions, which is clutch. On the left-hand side, we've got Lima Kai, Plasma Torpedoes. Ouch! Plasma Torpedoes stripping shields. Vader's not going to like that. He is the only ship with shields, so basically those Plasma Torpedoes have his name on them. With R5DK, so we can shoot his friends. It really scares me there. Dorsal Turret, which is really cool defense against the higher initiative ships. You can try to arc dodge 180-degree arc from Lima Kai, which is basically what he gives when he's got that turret, but that's just a little tough. And we've got Arliz. Who in the world knows what Arliz does? Arliz, by the way, if he's damaged, he basically gets a free focus to crit modification. He's got proton rockets, so a Y-Wing. If you get a Y-Wing in Bullseye, he can just lay into you, which is really funny, really interesting choice, because he's only 3 points. He's still at 6 health, 2 shields, so you could say, oh, he's easy points. But, he moves at I-4. He's going to move after a Warrior. And if you ignore him and say, oh, he's just a Y-Wing, I'll burn him down later. If he hits you with that rocket shot, oof. And then afterwards, he's still going to have that focused crit conversion. So if you don't insta-kill him, you can still put some part in. Speaking of hurt, we've got Dengar, the standard punishing one, R5P8 contraband. BT1, ooh, for the extra hit, and expert handling. So this is going to be a Dengar who's not afraid to barrel roll, which is cool, because, if Dengar ever barrel rolls, it just is terrible. We've got Boss with Deadsman switch and marksmanship. So Boss, if he gets that bullseye, he can do the crit splitting, which really hurts. Insta direct hit every single time. And Deadman switch, so he's kind of like a bomb. He's the only Deadman switch in the list, which is kind of cool. No Deadman chaining, which we were talking about earlier. And then we've got Han Solo double tapping with Greedo, engine upgrade, Lando, perceptive, trick shot. If Han is able to get at range 1 obstructed, he can just against a stress ship, he can just lay into you. And the interesting thing on the right-hand side, those two interceptors are going to want to be doing double actions and stressing themselves. So this will be really interesting. Those interceptors really have to watch out for Han. So now let's see what we've got. So we've got Volt starting in that corner. So he was placed after Bosk and after Arliz. Rockets forward, trying to figure out, okay, I don't know, maybe try to fight that Y-Wing. Okay, fight the Z95. That is a little Z95 right there. We've got Warrior jamming up in the middle. You can see some really cool barrel rolls and things like that out of him. Then we've got the boys in the bottom. That 2 5s and 6 block at the bottom, so we're going to really see what those are. We've got Aaron on the left-hand side. He's got his 2 I6s, Dengar at the bottom, Han on the top, bracketing. They're not bunched up. They do have slightly different movement patterns, with Dengar liking to barrel roll and Han liking to boost. So really interesting combination there. Of like differently maneuverable big base ships, and Aaron doing exactly what I would have done, because I'm the resident expert in big base ships. I can't even continue that. Yeah, sorry. I'm just going to take a sip of my Topo Chico. But yeah, really, really cool keeping those separate. Last week we had an interesting match featuring a YT-2400 and a 1300, Dengar and Han. And yeah, it is just real tough when they go next to each other, because their movement patterns are different, so they can kind of be tough to fly in formation. So Aaron's elected to split those things up, and we're going to see how that works out for him. I think, as someone once said, it's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it pans out. So speaking of bold moves, those ties rocketing forward. He's like, hey, you know what? So, wow, what a boy. Okay, so this is really interesting. So Mark's boys on the bottom. The really cool thing about that block, the boys are just so weird for TIE fighters, right? They've got normally 3 hull, but they've been upped to 1 hull additional, so they're up to 4 hull. And they also have an ability that gives them a 3-die gun, which is just amazing for a TIE fighter. And then even on top of that, they have afterburners. So TIEs normally can only barrel roll, so they can only reposition laterally without changing their arc's orientation. But with afterburners, they can't, so they can rotate that like 45 degrees left or right. Of course, the stipulation is A, they can only do it twice per game, and B, they can only do it after executing a 3-speed or higher maneuver. So really interesting here that they've elected to do that post-setup. Now, you might think, oh man, Mark just burned one of his afterburner charges. Gosh, and it's only like, the first round. But the flip side is, this is immediately post-setup. So I could say this is a really interesting choice by Mark, because this way, now that it's been done post-setup, he's basically saying, oh, now I know where Bosk was the previous turn, and I'm going to try to help cut him off. So we might be seeing Vader. I don't think Vader can afterburners in, but maybe he's also going to be, maybe he might barrel roll. But he's thinking, okay, this is telling me that he's maybe thinking that Dengar is like, a key attack. And so he's going to say, okay, I'm just going to go and try to like slam into him, and like try to eliminate those, and sure enough, he's going for the barrel roll. So he's just saying, hey, you know what, Dengar? You're a juicy 6 points. You're still just a jump master, so not the best style in the game. He's just going to say, you know what, I'm going to focus down on you. And I'm going to basically force you to come at me. Now, he's electing not to grab that objective, because, this is the first turn, so it's not like he can do it. But what I'm kind of curious at is that now he has to do 2-speed or higher maneuvers with those ties. Like, they cannot do anything slower. I guess they could do a 1 hard, but that kind of moves his arc. So he is kind of saying, okay, next turn I'm going to maybe try to capture, but then he's down to no actions, and Dengar's going to lay into a juicy tie. So I'm going to switch us to being at the first turn. Let me go ahead and do that. So we are at turn 1. Oh, I missed the timer, everybody. Sorry, everyone. Whoops. Yeah, so we are on first. And yeah, I've totally missed the timer, but that's all right. So let's go back. Let's see what we've got. And then Han. What?
Especially because BB-8 then just goes, I'm stressed, oh no, 1 hard jam. Yeah, or 2 hard jam.
Yeah.
Alright.
Wow.
Look at that, I can do this.
I'm sorry, I'm just making sure that I'm not insane over here. That Han is actually not at a 45-degree angle. Like, what on earth? In case you're wondering what's going on, so Han's arc being sideways is just a pretty standard configuration for Falcons. Like, not front, back, side to side, because he's going to be orbiting. But he did not elect to start at a 45-degree angle, which is going to be wild because these other ships are kind of expecting that. You're expecting, oh, you know, if I do a boost barrel roll, I'm going to move 90 degrees, and since his arc's roughly, or I can move 45 degrees, and since his arc's roughly 45 degrees, you know, you got to plan that way. Through Aaron deciding not to do that, it really makes Mark's decision-making harder because he can't count on as precisely estimating whether he'll be in arc or not. Speaking in arc, we're trying to see whether we were lucky and got shots off the very first turn. No, almost. So just out, which is probably good because Volt really does not want anything to do there. Now we see Volt using his ability, which basically lets him take a strain to delay his action. So kind of like passive sensors. And this is really interesting because what this lets him do is now say, ooh, hey, I know I'm not going to get shot. I am absolutely at range 2. So he's basically arc dodged Han, really nifty use of Volt's ability, and brought himself into range 3. So I can see it looks like 2 paint. Han spends for nothing. Again, just reminding folks, it's like, wait a second, what are those little globules out there? So Aaron's got these really sick frosty dice, and each different side of it has a different symbol. So like the focus for changing a focus to a hit or evade. He's got the green dice are good things, so I think there's also an evade, for instance, and maybe a cloak. I forgot what the other ones are, and then the red ones are like bad stuff. So stress, strain, disarm stuff. Okay, so what do we got? Do we have Han shooting? What was this? Okay. Wow. I'm going to see if I can update this a little bit just so that I can see the box for both of them. Let's see if I move this. No, I said it's perfect. Don't touch it. That's right. Sorry, I just have to exert a little dominance on players. Like if I can't assert dominance by winning and beating them, I can at least do it by casting. And speaking of which, I do have to check with the other players. Hey Chase, do you actually want another game? Because I can totally jump away from here and actually give you a first order game if you want one.
I think he's gonna get. So he has an old tournament box that he's gonna put in for the tournament as like a raffle prize. So he's gonna bring that out. We're gonna take pictures. And then I don't know from there.
Well, I was saying, like, if you wanted to play a game, I could totally.
We'll see.
Okay. Otherwise, I'm kind of curious to see how this pans out. Get the old Twitch stream. Sorry, taking a break to check in with the rest of the squad. So we are now updating the Twitch overlay so that we are on turn 2. Pot shot taken. Doesn't look like any damage. Oh gosh, I didn't miss anything today. Yeah, so nothing expended. No worries there. We've got interesting stuff being brought up here on the left-hand side. We've got Cisco breaking out some tournament prizes. Feel free to flash those in front of the camera. The cards.
Classic damage decks, pre-orders.
Ooh, classic damage decks. That sound you hear is the sound of sweet, sweet acrylic slamming into the table. We've got Cisco over here making it rain. Some absolutely gorgeous tournament prizes, which is contributing to the next upcoming one, which is in just a handful of days. So any of you who are watching this who are in the Austin area and feel like a fun tournament, check out the 512 Austin group on Facebook. We've got a tournament coming up. We've got range rulers, we've got some metal tokens that are really easy to see, we've got a sick target lock set, we've got a couple cards. Whoa, this is cool. Okay, I think everyone is starting to get set on this right-hand side. So yeah, Mark seems to have committed to going after Templar. This is going to be like the real big brain play to see if this was a feint or not. And yeah, I know we're kind of cutting off the top. So Hans up there is the big base at the very top. And he's got Volt Scares staring him down. So we will see what this looks like. Oh gosh. So let's see, everyone's still setting their dials. So trying to think of what I would do if I was them. So Mark might have decided to commit, so he can throw 9 attack dice into Dengar, and Dengar can double tap. When you have the Wiling in the middle, Lima, who can just say, hey, I'm going to come in and help, but try to, wing one of these little TIE fighters. Or Dengar can just say, you know what, I'm not afraid of this. Like, I'll take this damage, I'll just keep going. He's got Punishing 1, he's got BT1, he's got some pretty nifty tricks. So Boss might, he can do that barrel roll, which could just totally break some ankles. So we'll really see what he does there. But yeah, okay, so what's going to go on? So Warrior, our low initiative one, not using any of that insane reposition capability yet. This is the interesting one here. So he's got 2 options. So he can claim and then reposition. Is he going to do it? If he does, he takes the stress, which is kind of scary because, Han's really going to be able to lay into a stress. If he's going to say, nope, I'm going to claim it. I'm only a 3-point chip. I'm going to start claiming to see if I can start earning my points back. So it makes a lot of sense for Warrior. Then we go to the 4s. The first player token is Mark. So Mark's, so that I4's move first. So that's Arliz, not Y-Wing. Oh yeah, so we're asking, is he going to link anything? And I think maybe Aaron's being a little cheeky because he knows if he does, he takes a stress, and then, Han can lay into it. So we're going to pop that I4. So we have Bosk at the very bottom, going a little forward. Okay, so Bosk is saying, hey, I see an Interceptor. Hello, Interceptor. Yeah, it was kind of in a bit of a scary spot. We'll see what Volt Scares ends up doing because it was a little scary. Okay, so we've got 2 guns at the top of the table. This is interesting. We've got Arliz coming in and taking it back. Oh, that just feels so bad. You do have so you have a 3-die gun against a Y-Wing, and then the Y-Wing's a little 2-die pea shooter against Warrior. So I don't know if you really realistically do too much damage, but Warrior doesn't have any actions because he spent those actions to claim. So actually, really good by Warrior. Like, you can actually push through some damage that you normally couldn't. Odds are that he'll get maybe 1 red die, 1 hit result on those 2 attack dice, and the Interceptor maybe get a little bit higher, than 1 green. So maybe a 50-50 chance that'll push them through. And what do we have? So we got Volt Scares just rocketing forward. Oh, Volt. This could be a really interesting move because he knows that Han is going to be close to the rock. So he can't turn in super sharp because he's got that gas cloud right there. Maybe Volt's going for the sick block. Oh, we'll see. Really great move from Volt. Yeah, he does line himself up for a bullseye shot from Bosk, and Bosk, of course, now that he's got him in bullseye, can split any hit crit results, which he can upgrade a hit to a crit with marksmanship into 2 hits, so he can just immediately have that Interceptor. Ouch. And so Volt is using that nifty little ability to take a strain to possibly do an action later. Interesting that he wants to take it later because what he might be banking on is he can't do his boost barrel roll to get out of Han's arc right now because Han is blocking him. But if he waits until Han moves, then he can say, I'll arc dodge that way, and then he'll get out of Bosk's way. Now, of course, Aaron could, what on earth? Okay, speaking of the big brain moves, so I was going to say Aaron could rocket over him and then flip the arc backwards to be able to shoot him out the back. But speaking of doing things, I don't even know. Like this is just mind blowing. Okay, so we're trying to. We were saying Mark spent those afterburner charges in a really interesting ploy, basically to tell Aaron, "Hey, I'm going to gun for Dengar." And now you have him really diving into this. In case you're thinking, what is he doing? Yeah, so kind of transparently, he's thinking, I think that Dengar's strategy was, maybe Dengar doesn't want to take these 3-die shots, these 3-die shots, and he's a little bit afraid of this. And he says, you know what? I am going to guess that maybe Dengar is going to do a 3 bank left, or maybe try to do something really fast forward, and I'll, set myself up to hunt him down afterwards. And then we've got Vader, who's now in a great spot to try to cover the middle. Maybe Vader will go kind of like slow roll, maybe even claim the objective. So we've got Lee Mackay right in the middle, just like, you know what, I'm gonna one straight to victory. I do have that interceptor. Are we gonna reach for the lock? Oh boy, I think we got it. Reaching for the lock, I think for the plasma torpedoes. Even though the plasma torpedoes the plasma torpedoes take shield, like real good. They strip shields off a ship after they deliver a hit. Even though that interceptor doesn't have a hit, that still upgrades the Y-Wing's 2-die gun to a 3-die gun and removes the range bonus. And again, remember that interceptor does not have and sure enough, we thought Vader would go something really nice and slow. So this is great. So that spot in the middle, we've got the 3 overlapping arcs, classic kill box. Just the question is whether Dengar went in on it. And this is kind of interesting because I'm trying to figure out whether Mark was guessing the dial options on Aaron's ship, because I think if Dengar does a 3 bank, I think even if he did like a 3 bank, he couldn't make it into that kill box. If he did a 4, he wouldn't even make it in. He would just slam into those ties. So this is kind of interesting. He's absolutely setting up a kill box here, or maybe he's just saying, you know what, I'll set up a kill box. Next turn, I can all do like 1 hard, 1 hard, 2 hard. He's still keeping in that formation. Gosh, what is Dengar gonna do? What is Dengar going to do? This is nuts. Oh yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. So Dengar's dial is not really fast enough to allow him to get into that kill box. However, still all's not lost because, again, Dengar can hit like a truck. However, he's loaded up with dice modifications. Well, actually not really. He's got BT1. He is not really able to punish those ties because it's at a range 1 attack. However, of course, Vader and Dengar now facing off the 2 6s. And wow. Okay, sorry. So just going to go through what happened right now. So Dengar and Vader facing off. Vader. Yeah, just right into Dengar. He could go ahead and shoot him, but then he's like, do I want to take that double tap? And we have Hans slam into Volt Scarus. And so now here's where we see that delayed action from Volt Scarus finally take effect, because Hans trying to figure out, do I rotate my arc or not? Because he's got at least 1 gun on Volt. Question is whether he does like 2 or 3, or whether he wants to do 2 by rotating the arc forward and back. So real big question about what Volt does. Is Volt going to finally take his action? Oh, okay, so what?
Well, no, we were at that before Patrick, or after Patrick.
I can also choose to not shoot that. Well, Patrick said maybe.
Patrick should play 1 round.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it. Want anything?
If they have it, or whatever 0 calorie thing they have.
You guys want to drink?
Okay, here we go. So we've got Han does not have a shot. It looks like we've got shots coming in. Vader. I'm good, thank you. Okay. Oh, 2 evades. So it looks like we have natties out of him. Oh gosh, that's tough. I can go do that. Okay, so spins for 3. And yep, and just exactly enough. So we've got 2 haymaker blows fired right back at each other. Nothing. Now the really interesting thing is positioning here. I'm gonna have to think about. Oh, okay, and we got another shot back. Taking the reroll.
I'll use my
Oof. So we just have 2 hits. So it spends for 1 shield, and then takes 1 shield off of Darth Vader. Hate gives it immediately back. So we had like the haymakers thrown back and forth by Dengar and Darth. Honestly, I think Vader came out okay with that. even though he was expecting to do a little bit more damage, those ties really didn't get a chance to shoot, and he would have really, really liked to be able to. But you know what? He's got some really interesting position on Dengar. Dengar now knows, oh gosh, if I try to go curve up left, which is kind of what you want to do with that jump master, he's going to be in a really tough position. So Darth Vader and the two ties keeping that area on lockdown, and then also can curl in, which is kind of interesting because we've got a lot of points of Aaron's list at the top left of the board. And we've got a huge amount of firepower. The boys and Darth Vader kind of stuck dueling Dengar on the bottom. Dengar is still only worth 6 points. Now, the flip side, if you look at this, is that you've got Mark's 2 tiny little pieces at the very top, tying up all of Aaron's list. So it's really going to be interesting to figure out whose grand strategy actually paid off in the long run here. What I can say is that Aaron's choice to steal back that objective and steal one on the left is definitely going to add him some points after this. We're going to start seeing the score actually turn up in Aaron's favor. So we'll see. Decisions being made. Trying to figure out shot priority, shot order. Taking a great sip of that Topo Chico. There we go. Actually, you know what? We're doing the same thing. Oh. Actually, I don't know.
You know what? I'll check online. I can do it. I should
Okay.
not be petty and check.
No, you're fine.
Oh, this is looking interesting.
Yeah, so we had some haymakers at the very bottom. We have Darth Vader laying into Dengar, Dengar laying back. We've got one shield popped off Darth Vader, an amazing kill box set up for him, which we'll see if that actually, pans out to anything. Either of y'all up for a game, or I mean, I'll happily still keep watching, but
I was gonna see. I'm hungry, but
You guys can play.
I was gonna see if they're gonna play a full game. Food.
oh yeah, they're not.
So they're not Reese.
And figure out who. Yep. Okay, yeah, great point. So actually, it'll be about 15 minutes.
We should just hang out.
Yeah, so we got about a 15-minute break here, just enough time to pop your beverage of choice and, settle in and relax, check the news, read a little bit of White Dwarf, pop a little bit of that Topo Chico. Okay, sorry, folks, I was getting away from this. So we've had shots coming in. We've got Lee Makai in the very middle. We've got those plasma torpedoes. So here we're going to see that choice of tech on the Lima. So higher initiative, able to shoot Warrior before Warrior has a chance to do anything. We've got one offensive mod in the lock. So we've got one hit. According to the odds, should get at least one hit after spending the lock. Yep. So we've got 2, and then we've got 3 dice. No defensive rerolls, so maybe expecting to push 1 through. I see 1 paint.
Some magnets came out. I'm trying to figure out.
So we have 1 damage card dealt to that warrior, which very good use for the plasma torpedo. Like plasma torpedo, even though you might say, "Oh man, super powerful munition," it's like, you know what? Hey, you reached out and you slapped it. That Y-wing only has a 2-die attack anyways, so still doing a little bit of work. So we've got, it looks like 2 from boss, and it looks like we've got. Okay, this drains, so it looks like a damage into Volt, or did Volt natty out of it?
And some people like the big pre-order damage to the next one, so let you take it.
Okay, so we're gonna try to figure it out. So Volt's gonna split that and deal 2 damage to the interceptor. So we had Boss using that marksmanship ability. And rough. That choice of taking a strain on Volt and lowering his initiative really hurts. Volt Scarus worth 4 points.
Make a big
Yeah, so we had Volt Scarus, who was worth 4 points, get taken off the board due to that amazing direct hit ability from Boss. So a great little bit of tech there. Okay, we've got one shot coming in. We'll see what this does. We've got tons of evades. Looks like he's good. So getting back to the middle. So we have Volt, unfortunately, bites the dust. Kind of tough. I mean, the idea of keeping him up at the very top and having him as a flanker, amazing. He did rocket in a little bit, didn't stay too far to the board edge. Of course, I totally get why Mark did that, because Han's like side-to-side arc is covering the board edge, which does make it a little bit tough. So either way, we'll see how he goes from here. So we've got Mark rolling. He's got a crit. Doesn't look like he's got any other mods there. One fade. So, plinks a little bit of shield damage into our Arliz. So Arliz shields down. So we trade. Unfortunately, a full 3-die gun and 4 points, making this soundly in Aaron's favor. And at the end of this, so that was the last shot, so that was worse. Then we get 2 points scored for Aaron and 1 point scored for Mark. So getting up to the very top. Currently, we have the game at 2 scenario points and 1 scenario point for Mark. So currently, we've got a 6-1. We've got this amazing kill box over here. The question is whether Dengar's going to opt in or not. Dengar does have that arc pointed forward. He's got that little turret arc, so he is going to try to, be like laying into stuff forward. Question of whether he's going to, his perfect one would be doing like a 3 left. And the interesting here is the ties have to move first. So you might think, oh, he's got such a great kill box, but it's kind of interesting here because the ties could move first. Are the ties going to... The ties realizing, okay, we've lost this ship. We really need to equalize. We need to start getting points. We need to start getting these little ships off the board. Are they going to do like a 1 hard and then a 2 hard to try to stay in formation and try to bring guns to bear on Lima in the middle? Of course, if they do that, what's Vader going to do? Because Vader's got a tough spot. Is Vader going to like K-turn to try to get behind Dengar? Because Dengar... is Dengar going to K-turn swoop, somehow try to like escape this kill box? Is Dengar going to do an amazing big brain move, go like rocket over them and then claim the objective? That would actually be really interesting, because even though Dengar is not doing a ton of damage, he's still effectively tying up 3 ships. And now that we only have that one order in the middle, he's tying up like 3/4 of Mark's list. So honestly, if he rockets forward and just claims that objective, and even just pieces, he's like, and just starts orbiting left, which like Jump Masters are wont to do, then he's kind of pulled a lot of Mark's list after him. Even though they're in a nice little formation to go into the middle, like they've spent these past couple turns not doing much, which is a really interesting strategic move here from it's really going to work out well in his favor. Although Mark still has some options. Even though those ties at the very bottom are only like 4 hull, they still are 3-die guns. They still have 3 agility. They can be phenomenally hard to take off the board. And we also have, Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. You see, he was just able to toe-to-toe Dengar, an amazingly punishing piece. He's got the Punishing 1 title. And just, come off unscathed with 1 shield. Vader's like, I'll take it. I'll just keep laying into you. So we'll see. We don't necessarily have things totally slipping away in Aaron's favor yet. We've got a 6-1 match, but Mark could still take some ships off the board, do some real damage. Because of course with hanging with Volt getting kind of hung out there out to dry, the flip side is of course we have that huge gun Han Solo now on the opposite side of the board. Can't really do a ton. So now we're gonna figure out what Warrior does in the middle. Is Warrior going to start doing some of that amazing maneuverability? Is he gonna do bendy barrel rolls? Is he gonna flip forward, flip around? I'm really curious to see what he decides to do. So we've got the roll, trying to figure out who's going to go first. This is going to be an abbreviated game, so we're actually going to be ending this one a little bit early. So we've got it. We're going to try to figure out who's the... So I think we're at 6-1. I think they're just double checking the score. So now, here we go. Here's where we're trying to get to see those big brain maneuvers. Okay, so let's see, Warrior. What are you doing? Are you gonna go straight and turn left to try to really dive in on Dengar? Okay, so he does a straight maneuver. This is interesting because he's got Daredevil. Oh no, just kidding! Wow, the aggro. Okay, so goes forward, takes oh my gosh. So he goes forward, claims, and now the question is he going to boost? Is he going to barrel roll? He can't boost because he's facing a gas cloud. Is he going to barrel roll back left? Which would be really interesting to kind of get in Lima's arc. Please do it. Just do the bendy barrel roll left. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. See, this is what Warrior does. So, canonically in the books, Warrior's a big fan of side-slipping. So he doesn't actually do a side-slip, but he does a bendy maneuver. So normally when you barrel roll, you go laterally left or right, the one straight template in a worth of distance. But now, yeah, he's doing it. Oh, what on earth? Okay, so what you see here is Warrior actually does bendy barrel rolls, kind of like the oldie Star Viper of old. So he's electing to barrel roll left, and so now he has to figure out which of those positions fits, if any. Because normally if it was a straight barrel roll, you might say, oh no, he's got the ship in his way. But when you bend them, the actual distance, pro tip, is larger. So now he's trying to figure out which of these positions actually works. And wow, that's an aggressive play. You know what? I was thinking that there's no way that would fit, but you know what? I think he just did it. So I would say he arc dodged, but that ship above him hasn't had a chance to shoot yet. Or hasn't had a chance to move it. So he hasn't quite arc dodged. He does have an interesting shot lined up on Bosk. But he's probably put himself in a position that Aaron I'm almost positive, just did not expect. So we'll see how Aaron's movement choice pans out here, because he was probably not planning on Aaron doing that. Yep, and then we have the curse of being at low initiative. So even though he's able to move before everyone, avoid getting blocked, Aaron is able to just flip back to afterwards, reclaim that. So basically, he took that stress not for much, where he could have just done a focus boost, which is, that tough game you gotta play with yourself. If Aaron had picked a completely different maneuver, if he'd done a hard, Mark's thing would have been absolutely the right call. So, it's just a tough guessing game. You got to figure out what your opponent's strategy is going to be, whether or not they're going to go straight and right. And especially when we've got these initiatives where one ship's moving over the other, you can have something where it feels like your action just got wasted. But you know what? He's absolutely positioned himself to an interesting location. There's no way that Y-Wing's going to shoot him. It doesn't have bombs. And the second Y-Wing, I don't know. I don't think he's doing a one bank, so he might be safe from that one too. Oh, okay, so we got to get through this round of motion. Okay. Wow. So these ties stressed, of course, because they did those Caterns last turn. But now we have him clearing that stress. We've got a 2 bank here, which is blue. Clears it. He's probably just going to take a focus. I'm guessing. He could be doing a barrel roll if he wants to, if maybe depending on his patterns of motion, he's either going for the block to block Dengar's hard left maneuver, or he's trying to clear some space for his wingmate. I'm thinking because he's pausing, he might be thinking about no, he's confident in his spacing. Okay, I like it. So let's see, we've got another I-5. What is this one doing? Also doing, looks like a 2 bank. Yep, perfect. Staying in attack formation, looks like they are both very happily in each other's side arc. So I know we've got an obstructed shot to that Y-Wing, but still, these are 3 die guns because they're in each other's side arcs. And they're setting Dengar up to probably not do a super ton of damage because he's going to be slamming into them, I'm guessing. Or, again, maybe Dengar's going to rocket forward and claim that obstacle, in which case he gets the objective. He gets the 3 objective sweep, which would be really big. Now we've got that Y-Wing, that good old Arliss rocketing on in. Oh no, sorry, this isn't Arliss, this is Lima, because Lima's moving after, Lima's the 5. So we've got Lima going forward, taking a focus, saying, I think she's got a nice juicy range 1 into that tie. We've got Darth Vader, what are you doing, Dark Lord? Ooh, we've got a 3 bank. So we might have been doing some marking over here, because the 3 bank, yep. Okay, so he's got to mark that tie because that 3 bank, he was again trying to cover all the angles. I think he's. This is going to be a tough one because he really does not want to bump into his own ship. And yep, they're choosing to be smart about it. He's like, hey, I'll take this tie off. Gosh, you can even just see how much Mark plays. That's so cool. When you see that one bank, that one straight is just torn to pieces. Say what you will about, a croak looks really nice. Man, the intimidation from being look how much I barrel roll is kind of a funny play. It's look at that poor one straight. Yep, and then, beautiful spatial awareness by Mark. Darth Vader perfectly clears. He's got the option now that he didn't, of course, at 3-speed maneuver. He could barrel roll. He could pop an afterburners charge and boost. I really don't know. What's he gonna do? Vader. Yep, he takes a lock, and he's got the force. So he's in a great job. He's gonna do a 4 die right into that right into Lima. And Dengar, what did you do? Yep, okay, so we have Mark creating that little traffic jam. He's like, haha, I'm not shooting you, which is actually a really, really funny play now, because he kind of... So this is where you can get them like the big strand, dude, because remember how we said he burned those afterburner charges at the very beginning? We're like, oh, well, that's blowing through him like at a necessarily early point in the game. Well, yeah, but now he's kind of only taking one shot from Dengar, range 0, so doesn't get to use any mods. And Dengar is like, what makes him expensive is that like fearsome double tap ability if you shoot him. And now he's like, you know what? I'm just not going to shoot you, which is just hilarious because now he just doesn't have to. Now that he's not shooting him, he's like, you know what? I'm not going to shoot you, and I'm just going to shoot other ships. So minimizing like the value that Aaron's getting out of that Dengar. Now, also, since he bumped, he's not able to use an action to claim that objective. So no matter what, Mark is still going to go ahead and get that one. So speaking of getting points, Vader shooting first. We've got initiative on Mark's side, so he's going to be rolling 4 dice. Ka-chow. Let's see what we've got. He's got a target lock. So we'll see what we've got. Sorry, I'm going to just roll the dice tray.
You just posted on group.
That's how you know it's like an aggressive game. Their rolls are so potent that they're rearranging that dice tray. We're gonna need to put like a little like a lead weight in the bottom of that dice tray. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So we have Vader looking at it. So he's gonna spend his lock. And if he's got 2 force, and he's got a Dengar shot coming in. It's gonna hurt. And he's got a lot. And again, he's 6 points. He's like the linchpin here. If we lose Vader, game is over. So he is going to spend the lock. He's going to reroll these. According to the odds, he should get at least 1 natural hit because it's a 50-50 chance. So let's see. Are the odds going to be in? Oh no, he spends lock on all of them. Okay, he should get. Gosh. Unfortunately, I don't know what the results are. They slammed into each other. I think they know him a little bit better because they were just there. So we'll see. So he just unfortunately has 2 hits. Going into that little Y-Wing, just rolling 1. He's going to see if he can get it to spend its focus. But you know what? That Y-Wing is probably just going to be like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll have a chance to lay into Vader. Okay, never mind. Doesn't even have a chance. So we have 2 shields against the Y-Wing. So both Y-Wings have shields down. So we have Lima down, and then we have the 6s at the top of the table. We've got Dengar, who's got a range 1 into Vader. Oh, into Backstabber, because there is a gap between them. He didn't hit both, so he gets to do a 4-dicer. Hit, crit. Dengar's got... he's going to do a reroll with R5P8. Into a blank, so just hit, crit. And no BT1 ability or anything like that. And we've got 3 dice, 3 agility. He rolls. We have an aggressive roll. He's like, you know what? You move the dice box, I'll roll out of the dice box. And, yep, 3 paint on all of them. So, spends that focus. Does reduce the efficacy of his outbound attack, but you know what? Saves all that damage. So, again, Dengar, like, held in a spot where he can't really use some of those amazing abilities. So yeah, Dengar not really done a lot, which is just a really interesting play. Again, this is going to be an abbreviated game, but I'm really curious to see how this pans out, because even though it's 6-1, and Aaron's going to get more objective points, again, like we're seeing a very significant piece along. Oh gosh! So we have the obstructed shot from Han, and he's stressed. So we have 3 hits. We've got a reroll coming in. A crit, and then spends the focus 4-5. So yep, so this is just all of Aaron's tricks, all firing at once. 3 crits, 2 hits. So now we have Volt needs to actually roll all paint. Volt needs to get... Oh, actually needs to get natties. He doesn't have anything. Yeah, Volt evaporates. So Volt just absolutely pasted off the face of the earth. Ouch. So we have that Han doing his work. So we've got just, way overkilled. Hit, crit, just millimeter damage. Like, oh, that's tough. We did have a really nice shot of having him have all his pieces fire at once. So Warrior, ouch. And down. So we have the score up to 9 points for Aaron. And yeah, and he's killed at initiative 6. So we have the two I6 haymakers being thrown, or the 3 I6 haymakers. We've got Dengar and Han, and then we have the shot from. Oh god, that's brutal. It's really tough. And yeah, that doesn't. I mean, because this is going to put him to 9. That's going to be 2 extra points for Aaron afterwards in the 2 objectives, and then 1 extra for Mark. That's bringing it to 2. Now, we do have these ties laying into the central Y-wing, so we'll see how they do there. Let's go ahead and shoot those 3 dice, and he's got bullseye mods on that middle one. Pretty positive he's got those bullseye mods. What? That's right, he's trying to measure... Let's see, what is he measuring that range for? So we definitely have Mark left to shoot. He's trying to figure out shot selection. So, here we go. Let's go, TIE Fighters. You can do this. You know, trying to score some points. That Y-wing in the middle would do... Oh, yep. Here we go. So, does he have Predator? Or is this the one with marksmanship? Oh, so he had dedicated, so when the ship died, he automatically got a chance to use the lock, spent the lock, and then takes 1. So, takes 1 damage, and that's on Lima in the middle, I believe. Yeah, oh no, that's Arliss, yeah. So now that it's Arliss's ability turns on. So Arliss gets an automatic focus to crit attack. So you're going to be seeing, but only if it's out the front. So we're going to see Arliss probably turn in the next turn so you can get that front arc in so we can start using that ability. We've got a 3-die attack from the last tie. Checking to see if it's obstructed to see if he gets an extra die. I think he does. So we've got so we've got a 3-die attack with a focus modification. And he's only got 3 left. So, you know, you'd actually push some damage through. Unfortunately, not on something like that. So, no rerolls. Unfortunately, ties don't have target locks without the modification. And he natties out. So, unfortunately, gets it. So, we've got the I-5 shots. We had Darth Vader shoot. So, at the end of this, we get 1 point squad for Mark. So we have Mark at 1 scenario point. We get Scum and Villainy, Doot 2 for them. And then the last one is we have that Y-wing, and the 2 Y-wings are going to get a chance to shoot. So the question is whether they shoot Vader or whether they shoot the TIE Fighters. I'm guessing Vader just to try to strip some points off of him. You know, he's the really expensive one. So we're seeing that... Spends the focus, so gets 2. Okay, you know what? At least try to get some health off of Darth Vader. And, you know, it takes 1. So Vader loses 1 shield, gets a force back. And then we have the other. So we have a... Don't think it's obstructed. So we have 1 hit result. Then we have Vader rolling 4, so Vader should be able to easily dodge this. He'd have to blank out completely. He tried, but no, he got 1. So yeah, so Vader's fine. And that does it. Bosca's nothing, and that's the end of the round. So we've got 11-2. I think that's what we're going to call this one. So we're going to call it the end of the stream game for this one. We've got 11 points for Aaron. We've got 2 points for Mark. We've got a tough spot. So, lost the 2 interceptors early. I mean, that's the thing with their hull, 3 hull. They can take a shot and just immediately evaporate. And we had, interesting, again, like Dengar didn't do a ton of damage here. Did draw a lot of Mark's ships down below, so really interesting. I'm sure they're going to be replaying in their head, like, okay, should I have done that? Was that actually in my favor? Vader, of course, can still just lay into one. We've stripped shields off these Y-wings, and Y-wings can start burning down really fast, especially with the ties going into them. But yeah, we got to call the abbreviated game. Thanks, folks, for giving me a chance to watch with us. It was great seeing some exposition of like top-tier X-Wing, trying some new squads, getting to see folks flex their creative muscles, which is just always really fun. this treat for me to watch some of this. I think we're going to pause. We're going to see whether we can get another game in for folks, but thank you all so much for watching. This first round will be gold. I was going to say Gold Squadron. But I was just thinking about it. Gold Squadron, thank you all very much. I've been watching some of your material about like how you do these overlays, some of these other arrangements, so you definitely on my mind. So thank you, Gold Squadron. You guys are amazing. This is going to be 512 Squadron out after this first round, and we'll see if we can maybe get one more in for you today. Thank you so much, everybody.